Are there stats around how much sort of nefarious stuff is going on with Bitcoin versus US dollar?
So the stats that I know off the top of my head is over $2 trillion of fiat currency are just money laundering every year, used for illicit purposes.
Oh,
Which is about the size of the entire crypto industry, not just Bitcoin, but the entire crypto industry, right? So it's a very big number. Some of that is simple things like terrorist financing, and then you're literally bringing a bag of cash or whatever. But a lot of it also is major banks who end up being caught up in money laundering situations, etc. And I'm always careful. I think it's very easy to kind of point your finger at banks and say, these are all bad people, whatever. I tend to think of it more as folks with good intentions. They're trying to do the best that they can. Are there situations where they definitely know they're doing it? Of course. But if you had to monitor millions of transactions a day going through your bank, they do a better job than I would.
For sure.
Right. So there's, again, nuance there. So that's the fiat system. And then in the Bitcoin world, so not all crypto, but in Bitcoin specifically, the latest stats that I've seen is there's a report out that says 0.4%, so less than 0.5% of all transactions are used for illicit or nefarious purposes. And then there was also a former CIA director who came out and basically published a whole report. I don't remember what exact number he came up with, but it's pretty much in line, definitely less than 1%. And so if you talk to law enforcement, they say all the time, they're like, if somebody commits a crime, we want their fingers on a keyboard. Why? There's a digital trail. It's much easier to track them. It's much easier to figure this stuff out. And so I think what we've seen is just criminals in the early days of 2009, 10, 11, 12, even maybe 13, 14. Oh, there's a pseudonymous currency that no one knows about. Like, I'm going to go do all this crazy stuff with it. Well, now that we're in 2021, people realize, oh, wait a minute, I just used this public, ledger. That probably wasn't the smartest idea. But I think that it's important, actually, that the criminals and bad actors adopted it first, because that is the adoption cycle that every great technology takes, whether it's mobile phones, beepers, the internet, etc. There's a constant cat and mouse game between law enforcement and bad actors. And so what are bad actors constantly doing? They're looking for new innovative ways to use technology to get away from or obscure law enforcement from catching them. And so criminals are actually usually the first adopters of new technology, which again doesn't make people feel good, but if you go back and you look, it's a historical pattern. And so the fact that they were first, and then we got kind of the first adopters from a technology standpoint, and then we started to get more of the mainstream, and now it's estimated that more than 100 million people globally use this stuff. It's kind of like goes back to
Numbers that high already?
Oh yeah.